Welcome to the Excellence at Work podcast, where we explore the strategies and best practices that drive business success. I'm Rachel Cooke, COO of Brandon Hall Group and the host of our podcast, along with members of our executive team. In each episode, we'll dive into the latest trends, insights, and real-world examples from some of the most exciting leaders from organizations worldwide. Be part of our journey and learn from the best as we discuss innovative approaches and cutting-edge technologies for talent management, learning and development, leadership, diversity and inclusion, and more. Hi, welcome to Brandon Hall Group Excellence at Work podcast. I'm Rachel Cooke, the COO and host of our discussion today, and I'm excited to welcome with us Angela Ostermann, the Senior Manager of Leadership and Organizational Effectiveness from Paylocity. Hi, Angela. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for being here, and want to congratulate you on your recent award wins in Excellence in Action from Brandon Hall Group. You won a gold in leadership, another silver in learning and development and leadership. And today we're going to talk about one of your programs around Leading Advantage. And I'm really excited to kind of dive into what contributed to the design of it, the success, and the leadership is so important. We've done a lot of research, obviously, from within our studies to understand what are some of the nuances, what are the limitations that organizations may have? How do you overcome some of the challenges that we have in helping leaders develop and truly be a success lever for the organization and for themselves and for the teams? And as you probably know from your experience and where you sit, it's not always an easy task. So I love to learn about what these successful programs, one we've done with our leadership development progression model and looking at the different phases that companies go through as they are working through some of these different levels of maturity. And I see how your program really kind of sits within, that more strategic level and helping you get there. So, well, before we get started, maybe share a little bit about yourself and also Paylocity. I know we were talking about some of the cool things that you have there. So if you can just share a little bit with our listeners today, I think that would be fantastic. And then we can dive right into learning more about your program.
Yeah, absolutely. So my role here at Paylocity is really as a leadership development strategist. My goal is to be able to design very practical solutions to help move the business forward in alignment with KPIs and desired outcomes that are there. Thinking about, with the end in mind of what is it that we're trying to accomplish with what we are providing to our learners there to help set them up for success in alignment with what, the business needs at that particular time. So the goal is to help them become confident, to be capable, to have very clear expectations, and to really be able to translate what the strategy is into real behavior change for them as well. And that's where, the magic meets the road, where we can help people feel like they're working within their best and they're empowered to do their best because they have the knowledge and information they need to do that. And then also really excited because they know that they're driving the results that the business needs as well. So that's definitely the mission that we're on here as far as leadership development goes, and a little bit about what I do every day.
Fantastic. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the challenge and what drove you to design this program.
Yeah, so this program was designed for Paylocity's operations group. So for those of you that don't know, Paylocity is a leading HR payroll and spend management technology provider. So what we offer is a software as a service that allows businesses to be able, we partner with those organizations to help them, manage their workforce, to help them to be able to thrive, to help their businesses excel with our platform. And so in that it is really, the relationship that we have with our clients is really important to us, which really reinforces like the importance of leadership here as well. So for the leaders to be able to set those expectations, to be those role models, and being able to pull that through so that our clients get a top-notch experience from not only from the front line, but also from the leadership teams all the way up, to be able to get all of their needs met from our software and from our services as well. But in order to do that, right, we need to have a strong leadership bench in operations. Our operations group encompasses like our implementation. So we bring in new clients and implement them, set them up. It also includes our tech support. It includes our benefits team as well as our client services teams. This is the largest group that's within Paylocity as far as like employee headcount goes. It's also a very impactful group when it comes to our business outcomes. And so the stakes are high here. And when we're looking at, leadership bench and being able to develop people to be able to be successful in doing these things that I just described, we wanted to be a program that brought our top high performing individual contributors who are showing tremendous promise and tremendous commitment to their role and opportunity, pun intended, to have an advantage when they become a leader in the organization. So this particular program was born because we wanted to build a bench of leaders and design a pipeline. This isn't just training. And we wanted to make sure that these strong ICs were leader ready for this opportunity. So this program is designed to bridge their potential into performance, and it's to help them with career mobility and their readiness for that next role. And the exciting part about this program for me is the amount of hands that have touched this, because that's what really makes this program super rich. It was designed, not in a silo. It was designed in partnership with HRBPs, with talent acquisition, with business leaders, with people who are already in the role. We did focus groups with them to understand the role very intimately as well. So we're really immersed within the business unit to be able to really target those core things that they need to know. It's very tactical and practical and helps with their speed to competency. And so we have a real strong leadership bench for first-time leaders.
That's great. And it goes beyond just theory. So it's practical and actionable, excellence in action, no pun intended there. But can you talk a little bit more about the design and how it stood out or how it stands out from traditional leadership development programs?
Yeah, Rachel, sure. So you mentioned it already a little bit that it is practical. So we have this built for application. So it's not built for theory. We want them to be able to walk away from this program with real experiences that they could talk about in their interview. Every time that you're a first time leader going into an interview, it's so tell me about a time when. And so we've solved for that by incorporating on the job activities that they partner with their leader on in between different learning sessions, so that they're not only hearing about those concepts in the classroom, but they're also applying those concepts while they're on the job with support from their leader and some mentorship that's available for them too. To round out that experience, we've also incorporated coaching, professional coaching into the program to help drive that self-awareness and confidence. There's sometimes when you're stumbling around and trying to figure out on that first assignment, what am I supposed to do? Or how do I manage up? And you need a third party and perhaps like a different safe space to be able to talk about this is challenging for me, or I've never been in this space before. And so each one of our participants has a guide that is a objective third party support for them as well. And then we also wanted to make sure that there was exposure available for the participants. And in order to do that, there is a capstone experience. And the capstone allows them to showcase what it is that they accomplished while they were in the program, not just there, but also in their career, in the role that they have. It's a bit of a talent profile, and they get to have 5 to 10 minutes on an all leader, all hands call to be able to showcase themselves to hiring managers and saying, hey, look what I've done and look what I've accomplished and look what I can do. And these are my specialties. And also maybe not even just for a role or for promotion, but for a stretch assignment, putting yourself out there to say, I would love to be able to partner with somebody on data analytics. So if you have a need and you need some support, reach out to me so that they can start to build their network. They can start to build their brands across the business outside of their team or their silo as well. So that reach that reach expands to get them that visibility. But the program design itself is approximately 4 months long, and it's built into a 3-part journey. And in that journey, the first section is around leading yourself. And this is really getting to know yourself as a leader, as an employee, being able to shape who you are and who you want to be and what your drivers are for wanting to be in a leadership role, which is really grounding and important for a new leader to anchor into as they bring that into their everyday work. So we have that section. And so you have your leading self section. They come to the classroom learning, and then we have some activities. So they can do 360s, for example, to test their brand and to say, do other people see me the way that I see me as well? The second section is around leading teams. So this is where we're getting, a little bit more rubber to the road, thinking about how do we have performance management conversations? How are we hosting our one-on-ones and team meetings? How are we setting expectations? How are we building an accountability-based culture? And other topics of the like that are involved engaging other people. Even the way we cascade communications from senior leadership down to your team, and how that sounds differently when you're the leader giving that message rather than the person who's receiving that message. So being able to practice those skills and to be able to have an opportunity to, in like on the job assignments, to host your team call, to adopt a mentor or a mentee, adopt a mentee, so that you're having regular one-on-ones with somebody that you're developing, and you can understand what it means to develop somebody. And you can share that in your next interview. Say, yes, I have developed somebody, and this is how it happened, and these are the results that occurred as well. And then finally, the third leg is around leading business, which is a critical leg. And it really helps with business acumen and being able to tie the impact, like first understand where are you in the infrastructure of this business and how we make money, and why is your role important in that? And what can you do to help support that as you are leading your teams? And how do you cascade that? How do you inspire people to be able to pull through on that? How do we get people to mobilize around these particular concepts as well to be able to drive those KPIs and those results that we're looking for? So again, on the job assignments that occur for that too, which involves some of it is preparing, your book of business for executive level reviews, because you need to understand exactly what it is that they're looking for, and what are the important points to call out and why are they important, and things of that nature. So, and then finally, after that, they have their capstone as their final, where they get to give their presentations and showcase their accomplishments and really build their network as well. So that is that's the overall design of Leading Advantage.
It's very comprehensive, and there's lots of different ways that you connect with them through different approaches, which makes it to be very effective. I just have one question around your coaching. How do you assign your coaches? You said you go through a third party, and is this something that you administer through your platform, you know?
Yeah, actually, we have internal professional coaches, so it's not a third party. So we have a handful of internal coaches. I want to say roughly 6 who are certified, ICF certified, as well as Gallup Clifton Strength certified. So double layer there as far as perspective goes, to be able to help people live into their full talents and strengths as well, which is another extra touch that we add inside of the program. But when we think about how we assign them, it's really about the level of leadership that they're at, and then the level and sort of like what that coach has to offer as well. So typically we go all hands on deck, and sometimes we do a divide and conquer as well, but we've always had really strong matches in that capacity. So it's not necessarily part of our platform, but it is an internal operational structure that we have here at Paylocity.
Okay, great. And let's go into the impact and metrics piece, because you have, from what we saw, pretty nice results here. Can you talk about what those results are and what impact you've seen?
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to. So really proud to say that 63% of participants have either been promoted or have had an expanded scope within 12 months of completing the program. And I'll say that really I could attribute that to the program as far as the breadth of support that they get throughout, the breadth of exposure that they get throughout, and the design of that. We've also, to ensure like their visibility, have created like a what we call a badge here that goes in their HR files. So if somebody is looking for somebody who's completed or has these skill sets already, they can go in there and they can be able to pull and identify who's completed the program quite easily, so that they know that they already have this foundation that's there. So it makes it easier for them to be found. It makes them easier for them to be seen. And then the showcasing of what they've done, as well as like the hands-on experience that it gives them and the coaching that they've got. So I think all of those things contribute to it, but even more so is that it's nomination based. And so we work really closely on the front end with the leaders of this org to identify who are the right people to go through this particular program, and why are we investing in these people, and then how do we really stack rank the candidates to build for what we need in that moment for the business, right? So how do we stack rank them, identify them? And we also work closely with TA in forecasting to say, what are we anticipating for this fiscal year as far as hiring goes, so that we're prepared to be able to build a bench that's like the right size for the opportunities, so that people are going through this and that they're feeling that pull through and they have that engagement and that commitment to Paylocity so that we can retain our top talent as well. So those some of the results for like job mobility and movement, but we've also have done some pre and post assessments as part of this, and we have that from their direct leader as well as the participants. And for both of them, they both reported a 10% increase in leadership confidence on both the participant and leader rated. And also, the retention rate is at 90% for all participants who have gone through, with a 4.8 out of 5 learner sentiment. But the program itself, like when we're talking about, some qualitative results, we're thinking about like reduced onboarding cycle time that's there. We're thinking about improved knowledge sharing across the board, better networking with other leaders, and then just strengthened Ready Now leadership bench.
It's quite impressive. And is there anything more that you'd like to share about the learner experience?
Yeah, I think so. I think, really it's an exciting thing to witness and to be a part of. It's very rewarding, to be able to watch the learners build their confidence in becoming a leader. I think that any of us who have been a first time, when we move into our first time leadership role, there is some hesitance sometimes, or perhaps there's some insecurities, or what do we say, imposter syndrome. And so to be able to help the learners overcome that through experiential learning paired with coaching and their direct leaders support is a really nice thing to witness, that level of nurturing and that level of growth, and the way that it impacts Paylocity, the way that they buy into their new responsibilities and embrace them and go off, and we get to watch them conquer the world, if you will. The program definitely helps them to adopt and our competencies here in operations. It makes it very crystal clear on what those are, as well as our leadership values. And they start to, behave as leaders before they become leaders because of the experience as well.
And would you say, so you have, it takes about 4 months, the program. What kind of support do you provide after? Do you feel that they're still part of a larger leadership program? Do you have reinforcement over time? What does that look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have another program called Leading Now that is a continuing education program for all of our leaders. And for that particular program, we do 5 courses every year that help to reinforce these concepts, leadership concepts, but also help them in their moment of need with whatever sort of relevant business issue that's occurring at the time. So if we're going through, things like change management, we continue to build their skill sets in the areas that are very relevant. Or if we're in a performance management cycle, we'll help with some of those, crucial conversations that are necessary as well. So they continue to get some support around leadership that is relevant through that particular program in itself. We also have a little bit of I want to say is like an alum group, if you will, where we still gather. So there's some mentoring that happens from people who've already been through it to people who are now going through it as well and who have moved through. So there's a little bit of a reach your hand back and help out, with the new group that's there. And then some meetings where we bring everybody together to help them to be able to network and connect as well.
That's great. I think that's very helpful. And especially, leadership, if you look at, how you develop leaders and compare to other professional or even athletes, when you look at how much time they put into their performance or perfecting their performance. Sometimes, and especially as we look at the workplace right now, where we have such a gap from this large population of not very experienced workers or population to some of these senior, more seasoned. And then you have in between, which is a huge space, but not a lot of experience. And we're seeing that a lot of younger population are being thrown into management positions a lot earlier than years previously. Organizations have to do more initiatives like this or more programs to equip them and to be able to give them the skills and also confidence. You can have skills, but it needs to be aligned with experience and confidence. So the more opportunities we have for stretch projects or cross-functional projects, that will build their experience and then eventually their confidence.
Absolutely. And also that mentorship from their direct leader or even from a coach to that those two things also are immense confidence builders because it gives you that compass, right? It gives you that to say like, okay, yeah, I am on the right track and I can feel good about where I'm going now under this level of support. And yeah, that's the goal.
Angela, what advice do you have or that you can give organizations to help them build leadership pipelines for consideration?
That's a great question, Rachel. I think like what's really helped make this Leading Advantage program really successful is that the team we immersed ourselves into the role that we are developing those leaders for. We hosted many focus groups with top performing leaders to be able to identify what really like granularly like take us behind the scenes. What is it that they need to be competent in? What are those traits? What are those attributes that we're looking for or that we need to develop and those skills that we need to develop in order for them to be highly successful within that role? So I think that immersion into the business and really having that deep, tactical and practical, knowledge of what it is really important because there's a lot of just theoretical leadership content that's out there and it's good stuff, right? It's not like it's bad, but it's really about taking some of that theoretical content and making it very applicable to who your audience is, understanding where they're at, meeting them where they're at as well, so that and having a very clear picture of where you need to take them. And the only way to accomplish that is by just really knowing them intimately well and immersing yourself. I'd also recommend just multiple perspectives when you're building something like this. Identify who your partners are and who they should be. Who is going to be an asset to make this even better than what you could do by yourself? And I named a few earlier, like our HRBPs, our talent acquisition team, and our functional leaders were some of the folks that we worked with, as well as people who are already in the role. If there's more within your organization, pull in as many as you can. Do a super deep scope on this work. It's really like important to spend a lot of your time in the planning section and a lot of your time in that scoping section. And then the building sort of just, rolls out of that, very clearly and very quickly once you do a lot of that pre-work. And so also it's just really thinking about learner experience, thinking about what does their day-to-day look like and what can I build that's feasible for them, that will fit, that won't be too cumbersome with their schedule, that won't take them away too much from their regular responsibilities. So the on the job activities are really designed to help contribute to the team that they're already in. So it's not something like, oh, I need to step away from my day job to go do this particular program. It's no, I'm doing this, you're developing me, but I'm also giving back and giving in a richer way to the team that I'm already engaged and responsible to, right? Engaged with and responsible to. Listening to the learners as we went through it, we iterate probably every single time. It's like little tweaks that go through and making sure that that it's working for the business and it's getting the results that we want is another really critical point to consider when you're building one of these programs. And then also, just I mentioned it earlier, but meeting the learners where they're at in their readiness, in their experience, in their career goals. Not everybody in the class is going to have the exact same goal. They're not going to have the same background or the same expertise, but it's really about getting to know where they're at and being able to help them see that vision and where those milestones are for them to get to their own individual goals that are there. And then finally, everything that we do is anchored in our culture and in who we are at Paylocity, in what our expectations are in our roles, what our current KPI focuses are, what problems we're currently looking to solve. And some of that, drives some of the iterations that we have within the program as well, in addition to learner feedback that's there too. So I think those are all really wonderful things to consider when you're building a leadership program like this.
Fantastic. Thank you, Angela. Thank you for sharing your perspective, and congratulations on your award wins and great work that you're doing. I look forward to, and so does the rest of us at Brandon Hall Group and our community here, look forward to seeing what's next. So keep it up and have a great week. Thank you. And thank you
So
all for
much.
joining us.
Thanks so much for the opportunity to share, Rachel. I really appreciate it. And thank you.
Take care.
Thanks, you too.